Imagine two countries that used to be friends, but then something big happened that changed everything. That's the story of the United States and Iran. Today, their relationship is tense, sometimes dangerous, and often confusing. So let's break it down in a simple way. Before 1979, the United States and Iran were actually close allies. Iran was ruled by a king called the Shah, and America supported him. The two countries traded oil and weapons, and they worked together during the Cold War. But many people inside Iran were unhappy. They felt the Shah was too powerful and too close to the West. In 1979, everything changed. A massive uprising called the Iranian Revolution overthrew the Shah. A religious leader named Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini took control and created a new Islamic government. This new government did not trust America. In fact, it saw the United States as an enemy. Soon after, Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and held American diplomats hostage for over a year. That event destroyed trust between the two nations. Following years of tension, the two countries have never rebuilt friendly relations. In the 1980s, during the Iran-Iraq War, the United States supported Iraq. American and Iranian forces even clashed directly in the Persian Gulf during a battle called Operation Praying Mantis. But the conflict wasn't always direct. Often it happened through proxy groups. A proxy group is when a country supports armed groups in other places instead of fighting itself. Iran supports groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza. The United States considers these groups terrorist organizations. This is where Israel becomes important. So how did Israel get involved? Israel and Iran are bitter rivals. Iran does not recognize Israel as a legitimate state and has openly opposed its government. Israel, on the other hand, sees Iran as one of its biggest threats, especially because of Iran's missile programs and support for armed groups near Israel's borders. In 2015, Iran agreed to a deal called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Under this agreement, Iran limited its nuclear activities in exchange for relief from economic sanctions. Israel strongly opposed this deal. Israeli leaders argued that it did not do enough to stop Iran from eventually developing nuclear weapons. In 2018, the United States withdrew from the deal and reimposed sanctions on Iran. Tensions rose again. Israel has reportedly carried out cyber attacks and airstrikes against Iranian targets in places like Syria, trying to stop Iran from building military power close to Israeli borders. So, while the United States and Iran are rivals, Israel and Iran are direct regional enemies, and the U.S. is Israel's closest ally. That alliance pulls Israel into the bigger picture. In 2020, tensions spiked when the U.S. killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in a drone strike. Iran responded with missile attacks on U.S. bases in Iraq. Then, in 2023, after war broke out between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip, fears grew that Iran might become more directly involved, since it supports Hamas. Iran and Israel have also exchanged direct strikes and threats in recent years, increasing the risk of a larger regional war. Now, you might ask yourself, why does it matter? Or what's really going on? At its core, the conflict is about power in the Middle East, nuclear weapons fears, support for opposing groups, and deep political and religious differences. The United States supports Israel strongly. Iran opposes Israel strongly. That triangle of tension makes the region unstable. And because all three countries have powerful militaries and global influence, any major conflict could affect the whole world, from oil prices to global security. The story of the United States and Iran isn't just about one event. It's about decades of mistrust, different worldviews, and competition for influence. And Israel's involvement comes from its rivalry with Iran and its strong partnership with the United States. Understanding this history helps us see why headlines about the Middle East can be complicated and why diplomacy is so important.